All right, let's run some Google ads for real estate investor motivated seller leads. For most investors I've encountered who want to run Google ads, they feel like it's really complicated, and it can be. But let's try and cut through all the steps and whatnot and just give you a really straightforward starter campaign backed by data and years of testing that I've seen at Carrot. So, what we're going to do is once you opt in, you'll get a CSV file as well as it's going to ask you to download the Google Ads editor. This is more of like a power user type thing where we can make a lot of big changes very quickly. We're going to upload that and then make some minor changes on the ads campaign, and then you can launch it whenever you're ready. So assuming you have Google Ads Editor and you are logged in, we'll go to Account. We're going to import from File, and we're going to pick that CSV. Oops, it is right there. Okay, so once we import this, what is happening is the ad groups, the keywords, the ads, everything is being imported. And then what we're going to do is you'll notice here that Roseburg seller is the default. That's just what the Carrot campaign is called. So we're going to go in here and we're going to make changes to all of this. So let's retitle it. We'll pick a market, Seattle, which is close to me. It's currently paused, and then Seattle seller leads. It's going to spend $50 a day. You can adjust that based on your budget. Google's always going to recommend like a dynamic bid strategy, like letting their algorithm help pick the pricing. That could be a good use or move for you, but I always start with manual cost per click. And so what that means is every day, every week, you log in and you see that, Sell My House Fast Seattle is $13 a click, and then Google will say, well, if you want to be in the top 3 results, you're gonna have to spend 15. You make the decision if you think that click is worth it to you. You manually adjust the cost per click, and I would start there just so you can kind of get an idea of each keyword, what it's bringing to your website, and you can have a little more control over the spend versus just giving the keys to Google and saying go wild. We are going to need to set the start date. This can be any date in the future. It doesn't have to be the day that you work on the campaign. So I'll just throw it out there for a couple weeks. This is something that the Carrot team has noticed where if you give a small adjustment to bids for desktop and mobile, it will incentivize those search users, your ad to show up a little bit more. If you're really cost conscious, you can drop these down to 0. But if you are open to, spending a little bit more for a mobile user, which we found convert really good on Carrot websites, then I would just leave this as is. And then let's go change the targeting. So right now this is targeting Roseburg. We're going to hit this pencil icon and we're going to type in Seattle, find location. So the difference between a DMA region and a city, DMA is going to be like multiple cities, like a metropolitan area. So it's including Tacoma in here. So if you want more people, click that. If you just want to target a very specific city, you can do that. So we got 8.8 million people here. That is plenty. And then we're going to come down to the ad group. All right, so for this, I'm going to hit Control A, Command A. I'm on Mac. I'm going to hit Replace Text. And I'm going to look for anywhere that it says Roseburg, and I'm going to change it to Seattle. Ooh, but important, I have to select all of these areas where the word Roseburg might show up. Then I'm going to hit Replace. So if I see this purple highlight, that means that it changed it. So House Buyers Roseburg is what it was before. Now it's House Buyers Seattle. That's great. We're going to do the same thing with keywords. So Control A, Replace Text. From Roseburg to Seattle, we're going to highlight everything. Again, I'm holding Shift to select all these checkboxes. Negative keywords. So this is a big list of keywords that your ads potentially could show up for if you don't exclude them. So this is just going to save you money and time by not having somebody type in, something like rent my apartment or something like that, or apartments for sale or whatever. And that's going to basically not have your ad show up. Locations, so we've already done that. Negative locations work similar to negative keywords where we're saying, hey, we don't want to serve these ads to people in Ghana, Philippines. These are typically places where we've seen a lot of like scam traffic or bot traffic come from. These error messages here are basically saying it's not sure where Ghana is. I can just hit find location again and get these all sorted out. So I'll do that really quick. I'm assuming you'll have some of these as well. And you can always add more in here as you run your ad campaigns. So if you're seeing traffic in your analytics reports coming from like weird places, just come exclude them and it'll stop showing ads in those locations. We'll talk a little bit more about location targeting in just a minute. Get Vietnam out, and then that looks good. So the last thing we need to do is same thing, Control A. This little icon here with like the recycle looking thing, replace text. Again, we're going to highlight everything and go from Roseburg to Seattle. All right, there's one last step. It's the most important step in this entire video, so pay attention. With all the ads selected, we are going to click Change URLs. So for the final URL, the mobile URL, you need to make sure that you set each URL to your website. By default, the way this campaign loads, it comes with a URL. Don't send it there. You're going to be paying for traffic to somebody else's website. Make sure that you have your URL there and then hit Change URL. What I would recommend too is just clicking through these ads and making sure that you're seeing like Seattle is highlighted there and then the right URL is being targeted. So once you're comfortable with that, if you are a little bit more experienced with Google Ads, you can also come down here to ad assets and add like site links and call outs. So things are like your mobile phone number. So, you know, if you wanted to do like FAQ, about us, you know, testimonial type stuff, you can add these in. Call outs would be things like, you know, I'm not going to go into it in this video. You can always add these later. So I don't want to make this like overly complicated already. That's a ton of options that we just went through. But you can add in more of these types of call assets at the campaign level, like a phone number, like I just showed you here. And that'll add it to all of your ads as well. All right, so the last thing we need to do is basically tell Google Ads Editor that all these changes, we want to keep them all, and then we are going to post them. And what post means is send them to our ad account, so to speak. So it's going to run through all these checks, make sure that everything is good. There's no errors that are like breaking the ads from showing. And that's it. So now we can actually go over to our ads.google.com, which is where we'll kind of keep track of this on a weekly basis. I just hit refresh and our Seattle Seller Leads campaign is here. So let's take a look at it and make sure that there's everything looks good to go. So I am going to click campaign settings. One thing that I would recommend is to change the marketing objective to leads. Now, the purpose of this is basically telling Google how to view the campaign and the traffic coming through it so it can make some recommendations for you. So we're obviously interested in leads. Earlier we mentioned location. So again, if you wanted to add like another area right outside of Seattle, you could do that. You can add more areas you want to exclude. This is important. So I know a lot of people who will run Google Ads and like they'll get a ad or a form submission on their Carrot site from like Spokane, Washington. Well, it's because likely the person was in Seattle when they were Googling it, but their address that they want the offer on is in Spokane. So you can kind of mess with who to include, like the targeting and stuff. I would say when you're starting off, keep it simple, leave all this the same. You can make adjustments later on. Mess with the budget. We do want to leave it as manual CPC, start date. And so this is all looking good. You could technically launch this live right now by just scrolling, let me get my face out of the way, down here and setting it to enable. The biggest thing though to ensure that you have set up is if you go to tools, now my face is in the way the other way, and go to, where are we at? think they moved it on me. I'm looking for, so I'm looking for conversion tracking. So I have this already set up. I will go ahead and include a video tutorial that goes in from the Carrot team. They show you how to basically set up tracking. So what this does is you put a conversion pixel on your thank you page or your step 2 page. That fires it to Google and says like, yep, you guys sent me a lead. That's great. Google can then optimize ad campaigns and keywords and like bids and everything based on that. Plus then when you go log in your Carrot account, it can show you, yeah, you had 5 leads, it came from Google, this is how much traffic and all that kind of stuff. So a little more attention needs to be done here, but I'll include a video on how to do this. I'll wrap it up here. Once you have the conversion tracking installed, you can launch this and start driving some clicks and some leads to your Carrot website. I've seen as fast as like 4 to 5 days a lead coming through this campaign. So let me know if you have any questions, but this is the fastest way I know to go from 0 traffic to like 100 clicks in a month with a Carrot website.